from Trackco Infotech. We have received your CV, which is
Yes.
call. So
Yes,
I
yes.
hope it is a good time to talk.
Yes.
So, where do you stay?
I stay in actually Bali. Bali, Howrah.
Bali, Howrah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, currently, where you are working?
Currently, I'm actually working in TCS. For the last 5.5 years, I'm actually been into TCS only.
Mm-hmm. So, why do you want to relocate or change?
Actually, the thing is like I have actually working for last 5.5 years, and I have done actually most of the development part here. Now there is actually I'm not getting any exposure of starting something new, a new knowledge gathering part.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why actually I'm actually looking for a new change.
Okay. So, do you have any idea about our organization?
Actually, honestly speaking, I don't have actually.
Let me introduce our
Yeah.
thing so that you should have some idea, right?
Yeah.
So basically, we are purely IT industry, software. We do software development, but our domain is health. We work only in health domain.
Okay, it's healthcare, right?
Healthcare, like we mostly our products are on health insurance, not
Yeah,
on
I
healthcare.
actually looked into your site.
Yes, this is health insurance
Yeah, right.
product. We have an ERP called eOxygen.
Okay.
We have clients in India as well as outside India.
Okay. Okay.
Right. We have also smart card solution. Hope you heard about the Shastra Shati.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
That is the technical part is been developed by us and
Okay. Okay.
for Shastra Shati.
Okay. Okay.
West Bengal government.
Yeah. Okay.
We have given a whole country called Djibouti, which is also we developed a smart card based solution for the whole country.
Okay.
And we have clients like SBI in India.
Okay.
Okay. And then outside we have clients like UP Old Mutual, which is a $400 billion company.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Other than that, also we have some clients. So mainly our expertise is in health domain.
Okay.
We do not work in any other domains.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So that's the brief from our organization. So my name is Shorin, and with me I have a colleague called Prathu.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi everyone.
Hi. So you have any idea on the database?
The database, yes, actually, for technical stats, we are actually using the MongoDB here.
MongoDB.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any idea on SQL Server or Oracle?
Oracle, actually, I have worked on in previous, means for like last 5 years. The first 2.5 years, and I'm actually working in Hybris. That was the based on that Oracle 11GDB. So that I have worked on, but that is like 2.5 years back right now.
Okay. So you must have the basic ideas, right, on the database. Like you can do a select query.
Yeah, normal query, normal query idea I am actually having.
So you should have those primary key points, relations, and all those things, right? You have ideas.
Sorry, relational.
Primary key, foreign key.
Yeah, primary key, foreign key. Yeah. Okay.
So can you tell me the difference between primary key and a unique key?
Primary key is basically that is the like hash key of a table, and unique key is like that is a combine of some attributes that you have given. That is a part of the uniqueness of the table.
Primary key is also unique, right?
Primary key is also unique. Yeah. like
So
PK.
what is the difference then? Why should you use primary key and unique key?
Um, Actually, honestly speaking, I don't have much idea about
Okay.
those actually.
Okay.
I actually have the idea about. I couldn't recall it right now because it's like
Okay.
2.5 years. I'm not actually been into that. We are
Okay.
more into NoSQL.
Okay. 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 That's fine. I'm just trying to get whether you have some idea. So it helps basically. These are
Oh,
some basic things. So I'm just trying to understand. Anyway, that's fine. Mm, so your comfortable zone is Java.
Yes, actually, for like past 5 years, I'm actually the backend code is on Java, and
Mm-hmm.
other than that, in our technological stat, we are actually using Docker. We are actually using Spring Boot microservice here, uh, Spring Boot application, and we are for building and testing purpose. We are actually using Docker container, and for NoSQL, I've told you like I have I know about the MongoDB and some part of I know about the Dynamo AWS DynamoDB as well, because previously there is a POC we have done before coming into microservice, that Spring Boot microservice. We are actually done a POC on Vertex solution using like AWS DynamoDB and like AWS Kinesis, like that. And now we are actually using Spring Boot application. Now we are here using MongoDB for NoSQL database. And apart from that, for inter-service communication, we are using Kafka here. And apart from that, for unit testing, we are using JUnit and that Mockito framework. And
Mm-hmm.
along with that, for building the pipeline, we are using Jenkins here. And
Okay.
um, yeah, that's actually it.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Mm, actually, I can see you have expertise on microservice, right?
Yes.
Uh, actually, we are looking for some resource on microservice, Spring Boot microservice
Yeah.
development. So you have also knowledge on JPA.
Yeah. JPA repository we have actually used.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm ending it. I'm just passing it to Pradut. We will have a technical discussion with you.
Okay.
Okay. Pradut, you can. So, oh, sorry, Pradut. Hello. Think it was not merged somehow. Hello.
Okay, okay. Sorry,
Okay.
ma'am. ठीक है.
Yeah. So I've given in the introduction, so you can just proceed with the technical discussion with me.
Okay.
Okay. We have an experience in microservice as well as JPA along with Java.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes. Raina.
Yeah. Hi, Pradut.
Yes. Hi. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Okay. Nice. I'm fine. Okay.
Okay.
So we can start our technical discussion.
Okay.
I think you have 2 years of experience in microservice, huh?
Yes.
So can you explain your whatever architecture you design?
Sorry. I'm actually not able to listen. Heard you.
Actually, I'm saying whatever architecture already you designed in your office in your
Okay.
project. Okay, can you explain that?
Yes. For our project, basically our project is basically a retail domain. We are actually working for JD Williams, that is a UK based retail account. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so they are having like means I am into products, but so basically we are actually dealing with saving of the base product, saving of the SKU product, saving of the catalogs and all, and also save some grouping rule based on some business logic. Grouping rule means you are grouping two or multiple product together by business logic. Let's say the CPT name is same, so we are grouping those like that. And also for the recent implementation I have done, that is like that basically we are saving the data, saving the base product. Let's say the base product has some incorrect value, right? Let's say base product doesn't have the hero image. Okay, and so at that time, what we are doing, we are actually saving that data, I mean saving that base product into our table, but there is one attribute that is the active is equal to false. Okay, so we are making those products as inactive basically because there is some problem in the data. Okay, the data that has come, and so what we are doing basically, what there is one Airflow. Airflow actually, the DAG is running and the DAG is populating some data, and those data we are actually getting. We are actually getting here, and we are processing those data, and simultaneously we are actually saving that into our DB. Okay, so uh, so we have made one logic that is like we are making one more document to save the inactive product details, because previously there is a bad implementation I have done. Like we are actually there is a millions of record in the database, right? And by performing just like find operation with the attribute, with the active attribute, there is actually taking lots of time. So what we done here, we are actually using the lock facility here, that we are actually locking that, means one thread is actually locking that performs the get operation that actually which fetches all the inactive document and saving that saving that base product number in that document. Let's say it is inactive, then we are actually saving it is then another feed came with that product that actually have the like hero image that is now active. So we are then removing the data from the document. So that part we have done using lock because of the multi-threading issue that we are facing on that. So that part we have done recently, very recent project.
Okay. Are you working front-end part also?
Sorry?
Are you working as a full stack?
No, actually not full stack. Only the backend developer I am.
Okay. So, in microservice, so there have some APIs. Am I right?
Okay.
So how that is API?
Sorry? How?
Suppose you have written one API. Okay.
Okay.
So after writing that, how you are accessing that API?
Okay. Let's say I have one API, means you are actually calling one service, right? There is a whole service, and that is we are calling from another service, right? That you are asking?
Yes.
Okay. So here we have the, let's say two services there, service A and service B. From service A, I want to call the service B. So what we are using here, we are actually have that REST template in our Spring application. So we are calling that within the REST template get for the object, and we are actually passing the URI and along with the information that needs that endpoint of service B. Okay. So that is the simplest way that how we are actually calling one service to another service. Now that call is actually done by the API gateway here. So we have like another service, that is the API gateway. What actually API gateway does, it actually stores all the information of the service with the load balancer and all the application name of that Spring of that service. So what we are calling from API from service A, we are actually load balancing that to with the service name, and we are passing the whatever information it needs. Then we are actually calling the second service. So by that API gateway, we are actually doing the service to service call here.
Okay. Another thing is, are you load balanced REST template right now?
Sorry, load balance REST template.
Yes.
Yes, actually,
Yes.
the REST template is basically it actually helps you to connect to another service. with URI. Now, as we have like we are actually not using the port or the host information over there. We are now actually load balancing, as we have given the information in the API gateway that we have like these services are there. And for this type of let's say this type of prefix, let's say you have like one department service, one user service. Now your now from the UI actually you are calling one endpoint that has that slash department hyphen service in it. So by that prefix, we are actually deciding that which service to call, and that is through the load balance itself. If you don't do the load balancing, then it will actually doesn't have the idea about which service to call. It actually goes by the application name only that we are doing here.
Okay. Actually, another concept is there for only for REST template. So when you are creating the instance of REST template, then you can add the annotation at the load balancer. So by this you can load balance.
Yes, actually, we are actually doing at the load balancer in the service. Means in service A, what we are doing, when that load balance means LB with small LB colon. I think I am not actually remembering the syntax. Actually, LB colon. I think the application name and the port name is there in the API gateway. Now, when we are calling that service B from the service A, we have that annotation that load balanced.
Okay. So, Rainak, in the do you have any idea IOC containers?
Sorry, IT?
IOC container, Spring IOC container.
Spring IoT container.
IOC container, inverse of control.
Sorry, I don't have idea actually.
Okay, so any idea about bean?
Yeah, beans. Yeah.
What about the life cycle? How working bean in Spring container?
Yeah, beans. Beans is like whenever you are assigning some let's say you have like in your configuration file you have specified one bean with at the rate bean. Okay, now that bean you want to that bean you are using in the service, so you are actually auto adding that bean with the same bean name, and then you are actually calling that bean with the logic, means whatever logic that is written in the bean, and that we are fetching. And let's say it's actually injecting one constructor. Okay, then we will get that object with the values, that the default values that we are getting. So that is the use of bean. And
actually, when we are using at the red bean. So, what is the role at the red bean? What is the actual role of at the red bean?
At the red bean actually gives you the means it's when you are specifying that at the red bean, it actually comes into the Spring application. It actually performs all the life cycles that the Spring application does. It has have like I think post construct method when you are actually initializing the bean. After that, the post construct actually calling, then we are actually saving some data into that bean, and then we are accessing that bean. This I think you want.
No. Actually, I am saying whatever you are saying. Okay, this is the bean. The purpose of bean.
Okay.
Why we are using bean? Because after using the at the red bean, that class are uses some OS. So that is you are saying. So like suppose we are writing a repository or any other class. So that means that class we are writing to insert data into DB. Okay. So that class you are for that class you are using @bin. Okay,
Yes.
am I right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think you are saying this. Am I right? The
Yes.
purpose of that class. So if we
Hmm.
want to use that class, so we
Hmm.
need to use @bin. Am I right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But my question is not that. My question is why we are adding @bin? How it is working?
Um.
There have @bin basically used to add the particular class into the application container. That means that is IOC container, and there have some bin life cycles. So all the bins where you mentioned @bin, that
Hmm.
means those classes are added into the application container, and after adding that, those classes working with the bin life cycle. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So do you have any idea for bin life cycle?
Still, honestly speaking, I don't have.
Okay, no problem, no problem. Uh, bin scope.
Yeah, bean scope is basically singleton. In Spring.
Okay. So any other scope?
Any other like it can be prototype as well. It can be prototype as well.
Okay. So if I want to um, create prototype instance,
Okay.
okay. So whatever the actual implementation.
So prototype actually says that you have like multiple objects of that
Mhm.
of that class. Now prototype actually what we are doing what in our application what we are doing to use the prototype basically.
Mhm.
So we are actually first let's say you have like one user object. Okay, user
Okay.
object has some data, has some data
Okay.
in it. You have put the data by retrieving from the DB or whatever you have injecting with the constructor, whatever way you have done. Now let's say you want to create a same object. Now again you have to pass all, or you have to fetch from the from the database, or you have to pass from the constructor. Now what prototype actually suggests, prototype actually doing the cloning of that object one clones into object 2. Now you after the cloning done, then it actually means whatever the value it actually holds, it comes to
Mhm.
the second object. Now you don't have to create, or you don't have to fetch from any other particular location. Now there is a problem basically, means whenever like say you have one object that you have cloned to another object. Now if you are doing the shallow cloning basically, then what it will happen, if you change on the first object, whatever you have changed, that will actually reflect in the
Mhm.
second object, because the reference is same. Now
Okay.
instead of that shallow cloning, what we are doing here, we are actually doing the deep cloning here. Deep
Okay.
cloning
Okay.
suggests
Mhm.
it actually creates a new value and puts that cloning object into that new object, new reference, and that reference we are actually associating with the new object. Now, like
Okay.
that way, the reference is different, but the value, whatever value you have got in the previous, that are actually same in the second object. That is how the prototype actually works.
Okay. 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 Uh, Suppose I have one interface. Okay.
Okay.
So and that interface I have implemented in two places. That means two classes.
Means
Okay.
you have one interface, and that interface you have implemented in two classes.
Yes.
Okay.
So after implementing that, when I am auto airing, on that time I need to get the I need to auto air the particular one implementation. Okay.
Okay.
Are you getting my point?
Yes.
Suppose
Yes. Yes.
I have class interface, that name is interface A, and I am implementing that interface A into the class interface, class A IMPL Okay, and
Okay.
class B IMPL. Okay.
Okay.
So in IMPL A and IMPL B, I implemented the interface A. Okay. So when I auto-airing the interface A, that time I want to auto-air IMPL B.
Okay.
Are you getting my point?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I got your point.
So how we can do that?
It can be done by the @qualifier. You can use here, like you have mentioned that you have one interface A, and you have like two implementation of that interface A. Like one is the A IMPL and the one is the B IMPL. And whenever you are actually specifying that qualifier, that is the component, right? Means that IMPL, A IMPL and the B IMPL, that is the component. So after that component, if you write that annotation with qualifier, let's say you have given one name, okay, that is like A bean, or let's say like B bean. Now, whenever you are auto adding that interface, you need to pass the qualifier that what implementation you want. Like if you want that A bean or B bean, just specify that A bean over there, and then you can actually means by that interface object you can actually call the implementation of AIML.
Okay. Good. Can you tell me the difference between REST template, REST controller and controller?
REST controller is basically it's uh, actually, by definition, I don't know the difference, but a REST controller actually suggests all the REST APIs that the REST template you are using. But controller, it suggests it's only the controller where
Okay, no problem. So, Ranak, do you have any idea in Spring JPA?
Yeah, Spring JPA. Yeah, I have used some bit of Spring JPA I have used.
Okay, so which framework you used? Spring JDBC template or Spring repository?
Basically, it's the Spring repository where we are using the JPA repository, where means whenever we have made one class like repository, then we are actually extending the JPA repository to get the access. Like you can use like let's say lots of predefined methods are there, like the save all, find by ID, like those.
Okay. So, if we want to get data and I don't want to write the query over there, so only I want to write custom method. Okay. Hello?
Okay.
So, but I want to get data, like suppose there have employee table and there have ID, first name, last name, email. Okay. So I want to get those employees whose last name is MAJ. Okay.
Whose last name is MAJ?
Last name starts with MAJ.
Okay, starts with MAJ. Okay.
MAJ. So easily we can write the query, and using the query we can
using the annotation query.
Yes. So right now I don't want to write the query. Okay, I just want to write only method. So using method, how can I do that?
Honestly speaking, I have actually worked on annotation query itself. Means I can tell you the query, but not using the method in Scope Excel.
Okay, so you can you tell me how you are writing query over there? So you are not writing method.
Means basically annotation query annotation is like @ query you have given, and
Yes.
and in the quotes you have given the, let's say, select query in that, and then you are actually running that method. Means normal find method. It will actually give you the result.
Okay. Do you have any idea Hibernate?
No. Sorry,
Okay.
no.
Okay. So, Rainak, now we can go to Java 8.
Okay.
Okay. So, what is Stream API in Java 8?
Sorry, what is
Stream API.
Stream. So, Stream is a new feature of Java 8 basically, where you are actually using the lambda expression to get some value. Like you have one list of integers. Okay, then you are actually using that list of integers dot stream dot collect. Then you are actually using some lambda expression to get something from the list. That is actually helps. Uh, that is actually helps in to reducing the code, and also it is faster. In fact, the code complexity is not very much high.
Okay. So, you have list of integer, na? So, if I want to sum those integers using Java 8, so how we can do that?
You want to sum?
Sum, yes.
Okay. Using Java 8, you want to sum those integer. Okay. There is a called dot map. Dot map you can use where you just pass that n with the lambda operator n plus n. Then collectors, then you dot collect, then collectors dot to set or to list, whatever you want.
N plus n I am not getting.
Sorry?
N plus n, you just told me.
Mm-hmm.
N plus n.
Yes.
In the map function, map method, you told me, na? You used over there n plus n.
N plus n, yeah.
Yes. Can you tell me again?
Sorry?
Can you tell me again this?
Yeah, basically, let's say you have like integer list. Okay, integer list dot stream. Okay. Then dot collect.
Okay.
Then sorry, you don't have to collect first. Then dot map. Then you are actually passing that n with lambda operator n plus n. Okay. Then you are actually dot collect, then collectors dot to list. It will actually give you the value.
Okay. Okay. So if I want to get, suppose I have a list, and over there in generics I mentioned the employee class. Okay. In employee class there are 2-3 properties like ID, first name, last name, email. Okay. So I want to get one particular employee from the list. Okay. Only one. Not more than one.
One employee. Okay.
Only one. So there have list, but I want to get only one object.
Okay.
So how we can do that?
Is there any condition that you have given here?
Yes, ID. By ID.
By ID.
Yes.
That you have specified one ID, right? Okay. There is a filter you can use here. That stream dot filter, where you can put that employee object colon. Then you are filter means employee object E1 with lambda operator e dot ID equal to that ID you have specified. Then just get that means dot to collect. Then it will actually give you only one by that ID.
Yes, but when you are writing after writing filter, and over there you are writing over there the condition employee ID is equal to ID. Am I right? A particular ID.
A particular ID.
After that,
you just you can do the you can just do the collect and then collectors dot to list. Or else if you want more to be like let's say group by function you want to use, then you can use the group by as well.
No. If you write the collector the to list, then that means that time that will return the list, not the only one object. Am I right?
Okay, 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 okay.
But I need one object. Okay. Right now we can go to Core Java.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So in Core Java, there are OOPS features. So how many OOPS features are there?
Yeah. So there is actually many OOPS feature that we also use in our application too. Main are like abstraction, encapsulation, like polymorphism is there, and also like some design pattern, some design patterns we also use here. So like that. And if I can I go with the means, each and everything a bit more?
No. You just tell me what is encapsulation and how we can achieve the encapsulation in our Java application.
Okay. So encapsulation is basically means we are actually combining everything means the data members, the methodology, everything into a single unit. So that is like the encapsulation thing, and the best example will be a Java class. Means if you consider a wrapper class, okay, then you have like everything in it only. Means each and every means the primitive let's say you have like integer wrapper class, then you have all the features of int, that primitive type int, and all the methodology that integer actually provides, that all comes into a single unit. That is like the that is the encapsulation.
Okay. So suppose we have some data, okay, employee data, and I want to encapsulate that. How can we achieve that?
You have some employee data and you want to encapsulate
Those data.
those data. Okay.
Hmm.
uh, the main thing you have to do is like you have to mention the class as static.
Okay.
Then you can use that only that dot whatever method you wanna get with that employee, you can do that. And all the data members are in there as would be like private. uh, so that is how actually you can do that encapsulate employee object.
Okay. And abstraction.
Yeah, abstraction is basically you're actually hiding the, if you go by the definition, it's actually hiding the information from the user. That is the abstraction. So abstraction is basically we have done in two types. That is, one is the abstract class and one is the interface. In the abstract class, basically abstract class is like you are defining one class as abstract, and then you have like in there you have like non-abstract method and also some abstract method with just the method signature and the attributes are there. You need to specify that abstract keyword into that method as well, because it's not means you have to mention explicitly over abstract on that. And the abstract class cannot be like instantiated, it only can be subclass. You can actually extend that abstract class and do the implementation of that abstract method. And the interface is by default means the every thing is like abstract method in there. You don't have to explicitly mention that abstract. Now implementation class, you can actually implement with another class. Now in interface, we are actually in Java 8 we have like functional interfaces there, where you are using like default keyword using the default method in it, where you don't have to write the implementation class.
No, that is another thing. That is another thing.
Means that is comes with the interface basically. Means it has like interface.
Yes. That's why you want to implement abstraction.
Okay, you want to.
What is the
Okay.
purpose? What is the purpose actually in Java abstraction? Okay. So why we use abstraction and how we can achieve that? Okay, no problem. Uh, So right now, if we go to the polymorphism, okay.
Polymorphism, okay.
Okay. So how we can achieve that polymorphism? How many types of polymorphism over there?
Okay, so polymorphism basically there is actually two type of polymorphism I will get. That is the compile time polymorphism and one is the runtime polymorphism. The compile time polymorphism is like the overloading and the
Okay.
runtime is overriding. So overloading basically that you are doing in the same class, that you are actually overloading the same method with a different number of arguments. The return type will be the same, the method name will be the same, only the argument will be different. Like let's say you have one class and that have one like method like add. You are passing two integers and you are returning one integer. Okay, that I plus j.
Okay.
Now
If
there is
we
okay.
okay. Yeah, if we mention different return type, then is it possible?
No. It will actually not
Not.
possible. Not possible.
Okay. So suppose in runtime polymorphism, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I have two class. One is class A or another is class B. In two
Okay.
classes, we have written same method. Okay. Suppose I have written over there public void sum. Okay, and over there I mentioned throws exception. Okay.
Okay.
This method I mentioned in parent class, and in child class I copied that method and pasted into the child class, but removing only throws exception.
Throws
Okay.
exception. Throws
Yes.
exception, right? Okay.
Yes. Throws
Okay.
exception I removing from child class,
Okay.
but keeping it into the parent class. Okay. So now I am creating the reference of parent class, and after that creating the instance of child class.
Okay.
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 And after that I want to call the sum method. So is it possible?
Uh, just let me summarize the thing. You have one class that is the parent class. In parent class, you have written one method like sum, and it throws some exception.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. And in
Mm-hmm.
child class,
Mm-hmm.
you have written the same method that you are
Mm-hmm.
extending the parent. You are written the
Mm-hmm.
same method where you
But
have not written any throws.
yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Now from main class, you are actually instantiating, means you are actually parent p equal to new child that we are doing, and now we
Mm-hmm.
are calling that sum method, right? Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Is it
So
possible? Mm-hmm.
uh, it is calling the it is actually the child reference, so it will call the. First of all, I think it is not possible because you have like throws and you are actually extending that same method into your child class, and it will also be like it will also throws some
Okay.
exception. You have to throw some exception.
Okay. No problem. No problem. Okay. Now, do you have any idea of boxing?
Sorry,
Auto boxing in Java.
Autobox. No, sorry, I don't have.
Okay. So suppose I want to parse any string into integer. So how we can do that?
Parse a string into integer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then you can do integer dot parse or you can do integer dot parse int.
Okay. So do you have any idea or wrapper class?
Wrapper class.
Hmm?
Wrapper class is basically wrapper class is basically the string class. You can mention that string where you have a string is a wrapper class. A
Okay.
string is
Any other class in Java? Wrapper class?
Actually, I'm not able to recall it right now.
Okay, no problem, no problem. What is the difference between final variable and static variable?
Okay. Final variable is like you cannot means you cannot modify the changes over there. Final, that is on if you initialize some value with some final variable, that cannot be modified. And in static, basically what the static does, static basically instantiate the first time, and it will be like only one uh, static. Final static. Hmm. Basic
Okay, no
basic
problem,
thing
no problem.
actually.
Okay, no problem. Do you have any idea static block?
Static block.
Hmm?
Um, if it's static, then means a block is static, means a method you have defined as static. Then you don't have to. You can simply like using dot operator to execute to implement that to call that method.
Okay. That means you are saying no need to create the instance of that class.
No.
Directly
You
you
need
can.
to create actually. Actually, the if the class is static, then only you can use like that.
Okay.
Sorry.
So without that means if we want to make any method static, so that time we need to make that particular class static. Am I right?
No, that is not necessary. You can have like static method in a normal class.
Okay, okay, okay. No problem.
Like say main
Uh,
class, you have like main method are static, but the class is not static, right?
okay. But in general class, whatever we are writing regularly, so into that class, can we write static method without making that class static?
Mm, yes, I think yes, we can do that. Means it's a main class is also a regular class, right? Means when where we are actually defining
Over
that as
there,
main.
over there you are mentioning main method, no? But other classes you are not mentioning main method.
Yeah, that is also correct.
So is it possible? Okay, no problem. Now we can go to the exception handling.
Okay.
Okay. So how many exceptions in Java?
There is actually two exception in Java. There is a compile time exception and the runtime exception.
Okay. And what is compile time exception and runtime exception? First you tell me compile time exception.
Okay, compile time exception is like when the compiler actually detects that yeah, it's a problem. Like say any arithmetic expression exception you have given uh, like that. Like say if you more about the compile time exception, uh, there is like normally which the compiler gets, it's not on the runtime. You write some code and the compiler actually gets, yeah, that is wrong when in Eclipse or IntelliJ you are actually seeing that cross. That is the compile time exception. That is like the arithmetic expression you can get by divide by zero also, divide by zero exception.
Okay. Okay. Ranak, I have done from my side. Okay.
Okay.
So, Shorinda, I have done from my side.
Okay. And his name is Rainik or Ronak.
It's actually Roinak.
Roinak.
Roinak actually, yeah.
Rainik. Uh, so I have only one or two queries. Like, if you have given some responsibilities, can you be implemented it individually?
So sorry, I actually not able to hear you.
I'm saying if you have given some responsibility, can you be able to implement it individually?
Yeah, obviously. Means like say I'm actually giving you one basic example basically.
Yeah, I have given
Uh,
you an module. This is a small module, so you'll be able to implement the module by yourself, right? So you're taking
yes.
that responsibility.
Yes, actually we have like a very small team. Previously,
Mhm.
whenever we are actually on to monolithic architecture, what we have done in Hybris, basically there is a
Mhm.
huge developer team, and now we
Mhm.
have like only two developers in our squad, me and the other guy, and we have like
Mhm.
one tester. So we have to divide our individual tasks to individually, and we are doing it individually. So
Okay.
basically, we have to done it because there's a deadline also that we have to match because the agile process we are following that 2 weeks a
Mhm.
sprint, so, and
Mhm.
we have to deliver the.
Mhm. Okay.
So
That's good.
actually,
Mhm.
there is one thing that I wanna share that yes, you can actually do the implementation by yourself, but that is actually required the client. Business client understanding means what they are actually
No, that is
wanting.
different. I'm not talking about that part. I'm saying, so you have the requirement, right?
Okay.
And you have given some responsibility to implement or develop something, right?
Okay.
So you should be able to take the initiative and responsibility. That yes, I have to do it.
Yes,
It's my
actually. Yeah.
responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
So
yes.
maybe you need a help for one or two things from other users or other team members.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine, but somebody has to take the responsibility to implement it,
Yes, yes.
right?
Yeah,
So you hope you should be able to do that, right?
yeah, I hope so. Means and that actually I'm doing it for like 1 or 2 years because we are a very small team. We don't
Mhm.
have much more team to any suggestion to get any suggestion. We have like one lead that actually stays in onshore right now.
So if you have the scope to learn some new technologies and new environment, will you be able to cook it up, able to
Yes, yes. Actually,
learn this?
yes. Actually, I want to learn like the front end technology. Basically, here I'm actually not getting any scope or exposure to actually learn the front end. We are using here React JS, okay, but means the developer actually don't have means the backend developer don't have like any exposure to
Mhm.
learn that also. We have like
Yeah. So
separate
basically,
team for that.
just for your information, actually, our current application is this has been built long back. So we are upgrading. So we are upgrading in UI as well as we are upgrading in microservice-based application. So
Mhm.
that's why actually we are looking for resources.
Okay, okay.
So in our current new version will be in React only.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
that's fine actually.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Nice talking to you.
Yeah.
So our process is on. If you are got selected, our HR will for. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Rangan. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Pradhu. I sorry.
Okay,
I'm
okay,
actually remember. I don't remember the first person names. I'm really sorry.
okay, no problem.
I'm really sorry. Okay. Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Yeah.
Bye.